Let me tell you, you don't know the true meaning of arrogance until you watch a homeowners association try to gobble up your land with forged permits, legal gibberish, and the kind of confidence only a villain in a B-movie could muster. That's what happened to Minute in some urban sprawl, but right here in rural Georgia, where I bought my peace and built my future, only to wake up one day and find the HOA's flag planted right in my orchard. It all kicked off on a Tuesday, a morning as plain as any, just after I'd finished checking the northwest fence for deer damage and was settling in on the porch with my coffee black, strong, the only way worth drinking. That's when I saw it. Certified mail, fancy seal, bold font, High Ridge Valley HOA. If you know anything about land in this part of the state, you know HOA boundaries are a kind of invisible barbed wire. Some folks love them, I did not. That's why I went out of my way, years back, to piece together 40 acres from 3 old farms, made sure not a single inch of it was under any HOA thumb. But here it was, this letter telling, made the most bureaucratic language you've ever seen, that under some provisional zoning act and community integration statutes, I was expected to cede 60% of my property to the HOA's Public Amenities Initiative. They let me keep my house and orchard in the spirit of cooperation and use the rest for a park, some new HOA admin building, a playground, even an amphitheater, of all things. The kicker? It wasn't a request. They stated they'd begin planning unless I reached out to formalize the transition. I laughed, then I got angry. I read that letter 3 times just to be sure I wasn't hallucinating. The gall of it, the utter audacity. So I called my old friend Dana Fisher, who happens to be a land dispute litigator up in Atlanta. I read her the letter, and she went quiet. Then she said, "That's not just wrong, Cole. That's cartoon villain wrong. We drafted a response short, sharp, and legally lethal. I attached every deed, survey, notarized zoning map I had, and reminded them, real politely, that my land was never under their control and that no one could take it from me without a hearing. Certified mail, email, fax, heck, I even hand-delivered a copy to their office for good measure. 5 days later, they showed up in person. I was planting a peach tree when a black SUV rolled up, tinted windows and all. Out came a woman in a beige pantsuit, so tight you'd think she was running for state senate, and 2 polo shirt henchmen, both holding clipboards. "Mr. Bennett," she said, "we received your colorful response. We hope you be more cooperative." I wiped my hands and looked her dead in the eye. "Lady, I don't know what fantasy world you live in, but this is private land. You don't get to take anything from me." She gave me that tight-lipped HOA smile, and her assistant started spouting off about overlays and regional infrastructure growth zones. I didn't even bother pretending to care. I tore up their map right in front of them and told them to leave. They threatened to escalate, said I'd hear from the county. Good, I told them. Maybe then I could show the county the video of their visit from my porch camera. They stormed off, and I thought for half a second that maybe, just maybe, that would be the end of it. But if you've ever dealt with folks like this, you know they don't give up that easy. 10 days later, I came back from town to find a construction crew parked on my land like they owned it. 4 trucks, 2 excavators, a mobile trailer, and a huge yellow HOA banner flapping in the wind. Future site of the Community Welcome Center. I was boiling. I walked right up to the foreman, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, and told him to explain himself. He handed me paperwork, stamped and signed, but the second I saw it, I knew. The signature was faked, clipped from an old sewer variance. The date was off by 3 months, and the notary stamp didn't even match the county's. I filmed the whole thing, told them to pack up and leave, and to their credit, they did quickly. But the damage was done. They'd cleared brush, marked foundations, and dumped gravel. That night, I started building my case. Called Victor, a forensic document expert, and sent him the fake permits. Called Lucy, my favorite surveyor, and had her drone map every inch of my property. I began a physical, court-ready logbook, dates, photos, voice recordings, everything. I wanted this airtight. Then came the signs. 3 plastic HOA future site signs staked right at the edge of my orchard and my land. I left them there, took pictures, tagged the GPS coordinates. Each one was going to cost Karen Delwayne and her board more than she could imagine. That's when I realized this wasn't just arrogance. It was delusion. 3 months after the first construction, I woke up to what sounded like a brass band playing through a tin can. Walked out on my porch, coffee in hand, and what do I see? Folding chairs, balloons, a big white ribbon, a stage with a banner. Welcome to High Ridge Valley Community Complex. They'd built it. Right there. Paved my peach grove, put up solar lights, called my pump shed their administration office. Karen in her cream blazer and sunglasses, strutting around with a cordless mic, acting like she was unveiling a new school. I didn't interrupt, not at first. I walked right up with my phone and a notarized land survey in hand. Waited till Karen finished her speech about reclaiming the land for the community. That's when I stepped forward and handed her, and each of her henchmen, a sealed legal envelope notice of land encroachment, pre-filed civil claim, a mountain of evidence. She tried to wave me off, but I made sure the crowd heard. This entire facility is built on private land you don't own. And I've got every inch of it documented. That crowd shifted. Folks started whispering. Phones came out. Kara tried to spin it. We have county permits. I shut that down. You have forgeries and you're going to court. I walked away, but I could feel the ripple moving through the whole neighborhood. By the next day, local news had picked up the story. The HOA board went into panic mode, emergency meetings, damage control, a flurry of emails trying to blame contractors, the county, anyone but themselves. That's when David Creel, a zoning investigator I'd known back in Savannah, called. He'd seen the news and wanted to help. Within 3 days, he tracked down the real story. Karen's cousin in the county clerk's office had forged my permits, backdated approvals, and quietly shifted boundary lines, all on the HOA's behalf. Then came the whistleblowers. First, a nervous former treasurer showed up with a shoebox of receipts showing HOA funds paid directly to Karen's husband's construction company. Then a part-time county clerk emailed evidence that her boss had been bribed to expedite map changes. The case was growing legs. By the time we filed the lawsuit, it wasn't just a land dispute, it was fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. We filed in federal court for good measure. Suddenly, the press swarmed. News vans outside my gate, drones overhead, neighbors taking sides. Inside the HOA, it was all-out revolt, board members quitting, residents furious that their dues had funded buildings about to be bulldozed or seized. Karen tried to rally them, claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but every email, every directive had her name all over it. The judge moved fast. Injunction granted, operations frozen, property locked up. Then one of the contractors flipped, handed over photos of Karen on site, change orders with my parcel crossed out in red. It was, as my attorney Dana put it, a slam dunk. And it kept getting worse for them. A whistleblower from zoning confessed to falsifying overlays for a quiet fee, traced right back to Karen's brother-in-law. The feds got involved. County officials were indicted. HOA board members cut plea deals. Karen's assets were frozen. The media ran with it. HOA faces $10 million suit over stolen land. County clerk arrested in land grab scandal. My favorite headline? Georgia orchard owner fights back and wins. Trial day. Packed courthouse. Reporters everywhere. We presented drone maps, timestamps, email threads, even an audio recording of Karen saying, "By the time anyone complains, the courts will be too slow to stop us." The jury didn't even need a day. Guilty civil trespass, fraude, conspiracy, malicieux destruction, embezzlement. Damages? $10 million, plus punitive, plus every structure built on my land now mine. Karen was convicted of fraud and conspiracy, sentenced to 12 years, no parole. The board members got 7. The county officials, 5 to 10, depending on who flipped. My land, my buildings, my orchard all safe, all restored. I turned the old HOA community center into the gallery of La Mitza monument to the line between personal liberty and abuse of power. July 4th, we held the grand opening. Even the judge who presided over the case came. You'd think that's the end of it, but the truth is fights like this never really end. They change you. They change your land, your neighbors, your trust. But I'll say this: when the sun sets behind my orchard and the shadows stretch across land that is finally, fully mine, I know I did what had to be done. So here's the question for you: when does community become control? And when is fighting for your rights the only way forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever faced down an HOA or watched your rights get trampled by someone who thought they'd never get caught? I want to hear your stories. And if you take anything from mine, let it be this: never let arrogance draw your boundaries. Mark them yourself, defend them with everything you've got. And remember, sometimes standing your ground is the only way to stay free.